Howdy gamers. I just wanted to take a minute in this intro to say hello to all the new console gamers we got. It's great to have you guys back, and I just wanted to give a bit of a disclosure for any of them that might be looking for a new team to try. This is a very fun team. It doesn't require that many unlocks, so if you're looking for a new team to try or a team made by someone who has put maybe a bit too much time into this game, I do have this video for you. The team itself is a dance team, and I don't want to use that as like a buzzword or to scare anybody away, because movement in this game is very important and it isn't something you should shy away from. So this might be a good opportunity to kind of dip your toes and see how you like it. It uses consecrations very effectively. The other three heroes that aren't Vestal have great movement skills, and it's just a good time. It's a lot of fun. It plays with consecrations very well, so you'll kind of learn how to use those and get the most out of the new Vestal. Vestal and Jester do have great synergy, but not really for the reasons they did in DD1. So it's a lot of fun. It has Ray and Dismiss, what's not to like. And I also wanted to take a second here to apologize for the long break in the video releases. I have been pretty busy with life, but I am streaming regularly on twitch.tv/hepraises There will be a comment. There will be a link in the description. So if you want to come and hang out, let me know how you enjoy the team, if you use the team at all, if the team sucks, anything like that. Please come to the channel. I love to hear from you guys. Leave a comment, anything like that. And yeah, let's get into the video. I'm going to break down kind of what the video is, and then we're going to get into it. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you later. So the videos are going to be broken down into me talking about the team, the paths, and the skills, so you can see the idea, how they work together, and the recommended skill sets to make them work to their fullest and their most effective. After that, I wanted to go over the trinkets, and by extension, maybe some quirks or stats that, if they're relevant, I'll bring them up, but they're not exactly a priority when talking about this, because those are the things that you have the least control over, and they're more of a generalized idea of what you want to emphasize on your specific heroes. There are some trinkets that I really enjoy, and I'll bring up those trinkets when they do come up for specific heroes, but outside of that, it's more of just recommended stats or things that you want to look for on those heroes. Being the huge flagellant simp that I am, it is kind of funny that I love this team as much as I do, even though it doesn't have them. So I hope you guys give it a try. Dance teams are a lot of fun, and if you do, please let me know. If you take a quick look at the team, you'll probably notice or maybe assume that it's a consecration dance team, and you would be mostly correct. That's not really where the team started, and in all honesty, while Vestal is a great addition to the team, she's probably the most flexible hero if you wanted to kind of change her around, change her out, whatever you want to do, have her swap with, whatever it is you want to do. But I do think that she is probably the most simple part of the team in some aspects, especially in terms of what she's going to be doing on a turn-to-turn basis, which is just kind of Vestal in general, right? And especially Seraph, it's pretty cut and dry what she's going to be doing. So I'm going to start there, and we're going to move our way forward. So we have Seraph Vestal. Personally, what I run, and I don't really change her skills much at all, is Judgment Ministration's Mantra, which is very good if you haven't been using Mantra on Seraph. I highly recommend it. Mastered, it's 100% healing on across two targets, 50% on each, and it removes the consecrations, which is honestly not really like a huge deal in most cases, because what you're going to be doing is using it at the end of a fight, or if you really need that like clutch heal, you're going to go ahead and pop it anyway, right? And then both consecrations, right? The general idea with our consecrations is you want to drop one on, which is light, unless you really need the defensive tokens. You're going to drop this in rank 1, and if you have time, which you should, you're going to drop Consecration of Fortitude, and you're probably going to want to drop that one in 3 to help Jester move people back and forth, because if it's in 3, you can move Vestal onto that consecration, or you could move the Crusader onto that consecration, or even Highwayman onto that consecration. So putting it in 4 isn't really like a great idea. So I really recommend 1 and 3. And just as like a quick note, when you use Vestal, you really want speed. This one just happens to have lightning reflexes. There's just another profile. I don't have it like locked or anything. These are all fresh heroes. But if you can get something like lightning reflexes on your Vestal, super, super good. Next hero we're going to talk about is the Jester. So Jester is Virtuoso, Jester Plus, you know, whatever you want to call it. It's just a good path. The stress res is really nice. He is the only stress healer besides Crusader, which like you're probably not going to be using his stress heal at all. He's a little bit busy on his skill slots, so for, you know, most purposes he's the only stress healer. So, you know, just having the stress res is really nice, especially since he does move around a bit. You might not be in rank 3 a lot of the time, so it's just nice. I mean, honestly, like I don't really even have to go into that. It's Virtuoso, it's free health, free speed, free stress res. Like it's pretty broken in all honesty, and it's not gonna last forever, so enjoy it while you can. The skills we're running is pretty standard: Razor's Wit, Fade to Black, Inspiring Tune, Encore, and we're playing with Playout. Playout is really cool for this because we can actually help move Templar around, we can help move Vestal around, and we can give block, which is really good. If you don't have a block token on your hero, in a lot of cases it feels like something that you want to prioritize in specific fights, because a straight crit can just take you to death's door in a lot of cases. So, you know, being able to just generate free block on somebody is really, really strong in this game, and especially if it's block plus. Like if you have the extra mastery, removing combo, very good in the exemplar fight. You know, just a quick little tip: if you have someone in 3 with combo and you put them into 4, the fall can't hit them in the exemplar fight. So you can actually use this to not only clear the combo, but you can use it to get them out of the way. So even if it's not mastered, you can just put them into 4, which is really nice. And the only place you can't use it from is rank 1, which really he shouldn't be in rank 1 anyway, but if he is, you have Fade, so it's not like a waste of a turn or anything. This is very nice because, like I said, we're putting Consecration of Light in 1, so they're already getting the strength token. Get the strength token and they immediately use it on their turn. The block token is the one that you want to have more control over, because the strength token is, you know, you're getting it when you need it. Super, super nice. That's why I prefer Playout over Battle Ballad. If you're not running Vestal on this team, you can run Battle Ballad if you really want that strength token, which is very, very good with Grape Shot Blast, which is one of the main skills that we're using on our Rogue Highwayman. But this is, you know, very good skill if you haven't used it. I recently started using it, so that's why I'm speaking so highly of it. I actually didn't realize how strong of a skill this is. It's very simple, it's very unassuming, but it gets a lot of value. So the reason I wanted to go over Vestal and Jester first is because they're the support of the team, and I feel like, you know, they're a bit more straightforward to kind of understand. They're one part of the team, they're kind of like, you know, a duo, and Crusader and Dismas are another part of that duo. They're the support, and then we have like our DPS slash our tank, which is going to be, you know, they're both pretty tanky, if we're being honest. This is a very strong front line. The idea behind this team, like I said, Consecration of Light in rank 1, and what you want to do is Grape Shot Blast, and this is going to put him into 2. It's going to put Dismas into 2. The strength token scales very nicely, especially when you master Grape Shot, which I would recommend doing, you know, pretty early if you can. And it's going to put Templar in 1, and then he's going to be able to use Reap again with his strength token, and you're just going to be able to chew that front line out pretty quickly. And if you need rank 4 damage, your Judgment's going to have 2 Conviction if you used Encore on your Vessel. So that's kind of like your standard turn 1, and it's not always going to go that way. Sometimes you might need to get like immediate rank 4 damage, like you have to hit a Cabin Boy. You could Razor Wit with Jester, hit rank 3, and then Holy Lance, and then hit rank 3 again if that's where the baby is. Or, you know, if the baby's in 4, you're just going to have the Holy Lance and Judgment, you know, something like that. There's always, you know, a plethora of options for you to actually get some extra rank 4 damage, just kind of depending on what you need, and, you know, et cetera, right? So with this skill set, I really recommend you always keep on Wicked Slice, Grape Shot. Well, maybe not always keep on Grape Shot, but I would always recommend, you know, at least outside of specific layer fights, like you don't really need it for the general, right? You can use it on like Levi, you really don't need it on Librarian. Like, do not bring Grape Shot on Librarian, you should be bringing Tracking Shot instead. But another reason why I feel like Rogue is really good right now is you have access to Double Cross, and Double Cross is an amazing skill, and if you haven't used it yourself, you're really doing yourself a disservice. This skill is ridiculous. It hits through block, so it ignores it, so it's very consistent damage. especially again with damage support, which, you know, obviously that goes without saying. You really want to get like Bloodthirsty or Sharpness Charms, things like that, that can really just kind of bring up the scaling and the damage on this hero. On my other save, this is a save I use for like content creation, but personally I have the Promise Kept, which is 10% damage, and I have Bloodthirsty, which is, you know, it's just a lot of damage. Some people aren't like huge on Bloodthirsty, but considering you have access to Double Cross, you can use that to give block, and it offsets that. And also, Duelist Advance on Rogue gives block, so you can use that to offset any vulns that you might get. You can even just run Slime to get extra debuff res if you're really that worried about, you know, the vulns and whatnot. But very good, hits through block, removes all the block, and then puts vuln. And this is super, super nice because then you're setting up for your Crusader to hit with, like, if you want to run Smite or something, like you really want to focus out like single targets instead of using Grape Shot Reap. That's another option. You could double cross Smite. So these interactions that they have with each other, super, super good, super consistent. Yeah, just a really strong pairing in general. I really like Rogue and Templar. Honestly, like it's Crusader and Highwayman in general are super strong in my opinion. But yeah, you can also play around with, like, maybe you don't need pistol shot. You're fighting Levi or something, or whatever. Maybe Levi is not the best example, but whatever it is you're fighting, right? You don't need like pistol shot, or you don't need grape shot. You can always run take aim. Take aim is super good in fights like Levi and Librarian because they're always going to get some kind of cleave out. So having that riposte set up, super, super good. Just getting consistent damage, purging like weak tokens and things like that, right? There's standard riposte stuff, but especially when bringing it to the fights that it's going to excel in, you're going to be really, really happy that you did. So I've been using Templar a lot recently, and I gotta say, every time I use it, I find, you know, something else that I really, really like about it. And Templar, for being a relatively unassuming path, I feel like, you know, for the most part, I've heard like other people say like British Brat or Mariner Hawk, or, you know, just maybe not a lot of people have been using it, or some people that have started to use it more, you know, really see the value in it and are really like enjoying the path a little bit more, right? So the way that I have Templar set up is you have Tenacity, which is super strong with Reap. So once you have Reap mastered, you get the like Fresh effect on combo where it heals. Well, this heals 15%, right? But it can hit 2 people. You have Jester to set up combo, and you can kind of just do a lot with this. Personally, on my Crusader, I have Jinx on him, and, you know, just like a little bit of extra combo, right? Never hurt. And it's very, I don't know, it's very consistent, honestly, especially with, again, combo support from Jester. Tenacity to kind of help bring the heals up, and you get a little bit of dance with Holy Lance. Holy Lance is a great skill, so any way that you can get you know, use out of it is super nice. You can even run it with like Zealous if you want, which gets a little bit of combo out there, right? It's good against the tangle enemies like the Foot Soldiers or Evangelists, or even in like the Shroud and stuff, right? You can get pretty consistent good use out of Zealous. The only skill that you don't really need, and even then, like, you could make a pretty decent case for, honestly, is Radiance. Since Radiance does give you extra regen, and it's a 4-turn buff, so if you can justify using it, it's just his skills are a little crowded. And Rallying Cry is a decent choice, but you, personally for me, you probably won't find yourself needing it a whole lot. Virtuoso has like a little bit of extra health. You have defensive consecration tokens coming from Consecration of Fortitude. Yeah, it's just the guard doesn't really seem super necessary in my opinion, but it is good. Like, Rallying Cry in general is good. The extra healing receive, if you're not aware, actually affects regen. The regen will heal more. This is super, super nice to have. But again, his skills are just so crowded, like, you probably don't need it all too much. If you're confident in the way that your Jester is playing or something, or if you're running this team with Bonnie over Vestal, I could really see it being you know, really strong with Reap, Zealous, Radiance, Tenacity, Holy Land, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you can get pretty creative with Templar in this case. But right now, we're just running Reap, Tenacity, Holy Lance, Bulwark, and Battle Heal. The, you know, Battle Heal is pretty standard. It's just nice to have, especially with Vestal being the only like real healer. And if you don't want to use Mantra, or you don't really have like the turn order just doesn't work out for that, it's super nice to have battle heal. And yeah, I mean, if you haven't really been trying Templar, I can't recommend it enough. It's a lot of fun. Tenacity is kind of ridiculous. Personally, I'm a huge Flagellant fan, right? If you've been watching the streams or hang around the channel for a while, I love the Flagellant. And a really fun synergy with Rallying Cry is the Healing Receive actually affects toxic heals and it affects pain token heals. So since it's just generically flat Healing Receive, not specifically from skills, it just works on so many different things, and it's a very strong buff, which is why it only lasts 3 turns. I feel like if it lasted any longer, it'd be pretty broken, especially with Templar having Reap. It would be ridiculous. Instead of letting this part of the video become something along the lines of Snappy Swig is good and Lightning Element is good, Reverberating Redoubt is good, I want to take this opportunity in the video to highlight trinkets that you might not use all the time, and to kind of push that a little bit further, trinkets that get a lot more value on this team than they would normally. And I think the best trinket to kind of help demonstrate that is Pristine Lure. Pristine Lure is a trinket that helps you generate your own taunt, and if you miss the any attack, you will bleed yourself to bleed. So this works really well on Crusader. Crusader has high bleed res to kind of help offset the negative aspect of this trinket, which honestly, it's not a huge downside in my opinion, especially since we have Vestal with Ministrations and he's generating his own taunt, so he's probably getting a lot of DOT anyway, so Ministrations can clear that off. But it works really well with Reap. We can hit Reap every turn and roll those odds for taunt when you hit an enemy multiple times, so you're always keeping up a bunch of taunt, which is super nice on Templar because obviously he has a lot of really strong healing. He has a lot of mitigation tools with Bulwark and Tenacity, giving him some extra blocks. So it works really well. If you cannot get the Pristine Lure, I would really recommend going to the Tangle. The Tangle is good in general for things like Footman's Grog and just like the normal Reverberating Redoubt. You can get Clutching Claws to help keep your Vestal in 4, which is nice too because you can also use Sanctuary if you really want to get some value out of the on-hit effect. But the reason I say to go to the Tangle is because you can get the Bugle, and the Bugle will start the round with a taunt every now and again, which is pretty nice. And there's virtually no downside because there's no way your Crusader's going first anyway. These are the only 2 trinkets I know of that can generate taunt consistently, outside of ones that just give you random negative tokens, right? Any on-hit trinket is going to work really well on Rogue because of Riposte and because of Grapeshot Blast cleaving. But my favorite one that I have found for this build specifically is Dismiss Head. And I know Dismiss Head is already like a very good trinket just in general. A lot of heroes make great use of Dismiss Head, like PD, using it with Magrain to apply Vuln on everybody. But the beauty of Rogue Highwayman using it is Grapeshot Blast, just applying Vuln, setting up for a Reap or another Grapeshot Blast to just get so much mileage out of this one skill. It's honestly insane. Because unlike Magrain doesn't deal direct damage and it has a 2-turn cooldown, you can just spam Grapeshot Blast and Reap. And, this trinket, if you get this trinket, you're going to chew through every single fight that you come across, save for bosses, naturally, because, that doesn't really help you as much in boss fights. I mean, it still works. Like, you still get great mileage out of it. And it's execution as well. So, if you're just finishing off low HP targets or Death's Door, anything like that, it's free, it's easy. And if you're running Pistol Shot and Grapeshot Blast, you can hit any rank with a range skill depending on where you're at, right? So really good combo. Sparkle Ball is also a great one just because of the on-hit effect of it. Rolling each debuff individually is really funny. Rolling each one of those debuffs across 3 targets is just going to be a good time. That's more of like a fun one, if we're being honest, because it's not super consistent. Personally, I love Sparkle Ball. It's one of my favorite trinkets, but if you come across Dismiss Head, for example, you can run both even, but I mean, you do want damage. Since our Jester is playing such a support heavy role, really the trinkets he's going to be getting a lot of mileage out of are fairly limited to supporting trinkets, things like Footman's Grog, one of the banners that gives random block tokens, I think, from the Tangle, rousing recorder, anything like that that can just, generate things passively, defensive tokens for your team, anything like that. He's going to get, or rather, he's going to be the best user of on this team because he doesn't really need a whole lot of trinket support. Peculiar pods, however, do work pretty well on him. Being able to manually lower his speed is nice because, it gives you another option when using this team. If you want your rogue to go before your jester, this is a great way to do that. For, something like Grape Shot Blast, and then just putting them back in one with Ballad or Play Out, things like that work really well. But his options are mostly limited to defensive trinkets if you have extra ones that aren't being used on your front line or even on your Vestal. Honestly, depending on how you're playing her with, Sanctuary and things like that being an option. And just supporting trinkets that, have passive effects on them to help your team. Vestal ends up in a similar position to Jester, where you don't have to worry too much about their trinkets specifically. What you want to concern yourself with is defensive trinkets, again, or supporting trinkets to help, the front line or the damage dealers, so to speak, shine. A good trinket for her, however, that I personally really like in this setup is Strong Shackles. Strong Shackles is nice for her because you can get it going in turn 2 if you set up the Consecration of Light, and then you get the Conviction tokens. You want to kind of start spamming Judgment at that point to help the fight along if you don't need Consecration of Fortitude. And you can lock somebody down in rank 4 because she is slower, generally speaking, that you will be able to, maybe push somebody back if you have any displacement trinkets like Barristan's Head or something like that. And just moving forward, you really just want her to stay locked in 4. Realistically, you don't want her moving too much because if she's locked in 4, that means Jester can spam Faded Black, which is a really good skill. You don't have to worry about her getting pulled or messing up the dance that's happening in the front. She can move between 3 and 4, and that's not really a problem. But unless you're dropping Fortitude back there specifically to give tokens to your backline, to Vestal and Jester, she doesn't really need to move, right? So Strong Shackles, and by extension Clenching Claws, of course, actually work pretty well for Vestal on this team. It's good in general to immobilize her, but I think specifically since this is such a dance heavy team in the front, you don't have to worry too much about her if you do end up giving her something like Strong Shackles or Clenching Claws. Other than that, I would really just give her damage because honestly, she can hit pretty hard with some condition tokens on Judgment, and Judgment can hit any rank, so the more damage you can squeak out of it, the better. It just ends up working out mostly in your favor if you do that, especially since you can give Raven's Reach to your Rogue Highwayman, but since you don't have control over how many people you hit, and since it's so good at clearing dodge, the stress is going to rack up really quick. So I don't recommend giving him Raven's Reach for that reason. And it ends up working a lot better on Vestal since she's in rank 4. She doesn't get as much stress damage onto her. So Raven's Reach, pretty good. Any kind of damage on her is pretty good. But naturally, that's if you have just extra damage trinkets laying around, which doesn't happen too often. Trying to keep this section a bit shorter than the rest of the video because there isn't too much to discuss in terms of combat items, because you really should just be using combat items as you get them, but there are a couple that work pretty well on this team. And more importantly, quirks are something that you can lock on a hero and carry between runs if you have a memory on them, which is super helpful. And there are a couple quirks that you do get a bit more mileage out of this team than you might get otherwise. So just again, trying to keep it relatively short and sweet. So the first thing I want to talk about is the quirks, and namely getting extra speed on your Vestal is super important. If you can get her speed, and I suppose I could have mentioned this in the trinkets because there are obviously really good speed trinkets in this game, but what I was thinking was giving her a quirk if you can, like Lightning Reflexes. You can get that from the Stimulating Poultices or just happening upon it in an inn or something like that. If you get her On Guard is also super helpful because it'll give her bonus speed for the first round, which can help get the consecrations out early and get some really nice value out of that. We have Jester here to Encore the Vestal to get consecrations out, but if you can free up Encore, that is a really big deal. This is more of something that I just think is really fun. It's not realistic that you'll get it super often, but when you do, it's a good time, and I just wanted to mention it here. But the necklace of ears that you get from the Warlord boss is actually very, very cool on Dismiss, because you can combo the, combo token with pistol shot and basically just no setup stun whoever you want, which is pretty fun. So, have fun with that. Another good combat item to keep on at least one of your heroes, specifically one that isn't the Crusader, as more or less a comfort pick, just in case you get thrown into an exceptionally bad fight, situation, shuffle, something along those lines, a mini boss you weren't prepared for, is the Noisemaker. The Noisemaker is really good just in general. 2 taunt and a block is what you get for using it. You can put it on any of your heroes. But the reason that I feel like it's very good here is because the Crusader isn't super consistent when it comes to generating taunt, and while taunt is a very good token and something that you can get a lot of mileage out of just by spamming, the Noisemaker is good here to compensate for when the Crusader can't generate his own taunt and he just needs to start tanking or something along those lines, because outside of that you really just have guarding, which is good, but it doesn't cover nearly as much ground as taunt can. That's going to be my breakdown for this team. I hope you enjoyed. If anyone ends up using the team, I'd love to hear about it. You can tell me over on my Twitch, twitch.tv/hepraisethesun, if you want to come hang out, tell me about the team, what you like, what you don't like. Any new players, I hope this guide or breakdown of this team really helps you kind of understand how to approach dance teams and maybe build up your DD2 knowledge a little bit, and of course have a lot of fun. This team to me is a lot of fun, so I'm just trying to spread the love. It's a good time. It's a lot of good time. Any team with Ray and Dismiss is a good time. So stick around for future videos like this. I'm going to do one on the Flagellant next for sure. I don't know when that's going to be out because I got another video in the works also about the Flagellant. So if that's interesting to you, yeah, I hope to see you on that video. And that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and stay safe. Bye.